Okay, this is an application that's called Sample Grind, which is downloadable, and it's working and tested for Macintoshes, but it should be able to run on PCs as well, although we haven't tried that yet because we don't have a PC. So today we'll be showing you how to use this on the Macintosh. It's a program that lets you take pairs of sound files out of a prearranged set of samples that you can download to. And you can then make, to an arbitrary degree or to a varying degree, a filtering of one of the sounds onto the other. So to make a simple example, what you see here, yes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move some of these things out of the way so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm just going to talk about this object right here to start with. And this object has two shapes on it. The top shape is describing the envelope of the sample which is to be filtered. And the bottom strip here is a different color, which is to help remind you which sample is going to be filtering the top one. So in this particular example, the top sample, I'll just play it to you as is, or try to play one up here. Oops, forgot one thing. And that's a nice bell sound that I stole from a CD of Jonathan Harvey's. You can name the piece if you want. Now, you can, of course, play that with varying transpositions. So, for instance, I'll transpose it down. Or, let's return to the original transposition of 0. You can also ask it to start at a different place in the sound file from the very beginning. So, for instance, right now we're starting at the beginning and we're getting a sound like this. But if I asked it to start, say, a second into the sound file, like this, then I would hear something different. What I've done is I've cut off the first second of attack of the sound. So I'll return to the original sound once more. The other thing that you can control about the sample itself is the attack and decay time. So you can drag on the top parts of the shape, the top corners of the shape, and that will give you varying amounts of attack and decay. So here, for instance, is a slow attack but a quick decay. I'll make the attack slow. Click that. Let's see if this works. Or alternatively, I can have a nice fast attack but a slow decay. Also, I can control the overall length that I play. I don't have to use the entire sample. So here, for instance, is using just the attack and nothing else. All right. The next thing to talk about, let's see, let me change this back to a reasonable length. The next possibility that's offered by this is filtering. So there's a second sound file which is a filter source. For instance, I'll set the filter source just so that you can hear it. I'll play it as the original sound first. It's going to be this sound here. Let's use number 3. 3. Okay. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to return to the bell sound. I'll make the filtering sound, the filter source be 3, but the original sound to be filtered be the original bell sound, which is number 1. And now we'll be filtering the bell with that sound. What am I doing wrong? I should change this to 0 because we don't need to transpose it yet. So now what you hear is the pitches of the bell, but it's filtered by the vocal sound. You can control the depth of filtering, which is to say the last number at the top, which is right now set to 100, if it is 0, it means no filtering at all. And if it's 100, it means filtering as deeply as possible. And if it's some number in between, say 50, then it's a more subtle filtering effect. So you can still hear that the filtering is happening, but it's a great deal less full than if I put it at 100 like this. Okay, now what you do with this is you make pieces of electronic music by treating this whole thing as a sequencer. So for instance, if I want to have a series of bell sounds successively more and more deeply filtered, perhaps that would work best if I fade the successing ones in and out a little bit, like this. All right, so to listen to the first one, I'll have the first one not be filtered at all, the second one be filtered. We should do this in several stages. Let me make some more. Let's get rid of these. We'll put them in the future so that we don't have to worry about them. It's a good strategy. So I'll say 0, 25, 50, 75, and 100. And then what we should hear is a series of bell sounds progressively more and more deeply filtered. And that was the end of the piece. That's a little coda for you. Okay, maybe that's not a real full description of all of the capabilities of the software, but that's a very quick tour of what the software is capable of doing anyway. At the end, once you have a piece of music that you like, you can save the entire sound file to disk. And then the idea is going to be that you'll upload the disk back to Instrumenta so that we can collect all of your work.
Okay.
All right.
Something
That's
else? No? No? That's it? Let's see if...
Let's see if we got down on
no, I mean, no, the sound is good because